Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the My Self-Reliance Tuesday night chat. This is where we get together. We call it the community Kawinda connection because Kawinda means happy place, a bit of traditional word. My name's Kelly Wilkins, and I'm your host tonight. It's so good to be with so many people live in the room. And given that it's school holidays in New South Wales, I'm very impressed that we have so many people here, and it must be due to our beautiful guest speaker tonight, Serene. Serene, so good to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for everyone for being here. It's beautiful.
Just let me share a little bit about what we do here at My Self-Reliance, and for all those that are popping on first time, every Tuesday we have a Zoom call to connect community. And so we've been doing, this is our anniversary month, September. And for 2 years now, My Self-Reliance has been running. We got started in the lockdowns as a way of connecting people across Australia. And so that we could connect on Zoom and have the confidence then to get out and connect in person and meet people that are like-minded that we might not have met otherwise. And so My Self-Reliance not only has great speakers every month on all kinds of different topics. You'll be able to find the recordings of those on our Telegram channel and on the YouTube and on our website. Just look for My Self-Reliance and find the sunflower. That's where we are. AU, you'll be able to find us. So not only that, but we have amazing events. Last year, we did a lot of food preservation, a lot of canning workshops, a lot of permaculture weekends. We've done beekeeping, and we've done, goodness me, I can rattle them all off sometimes, but not tonight. But this is why I was so excited to meet Serene, because I've been following Serene's journey and noticing all the amazing events that Serene's been doing, mostly in Victoria, but also in all the work that she's been doing around the Lismore floods. So, but this year, My Self-Reliance has also run an expo. Twice now we've done a summit, 20 speakers over 10 days in the winter. We do that. And then coming up very shortly, 17 Sleeps, we have a festival in Kenthurst in the western suburbs of Sydney. So I know a lot of people who are here tonight are from Victoria. Well, it's a camping festival, so you can drive on up and stay the weekend and enjoy all the workshops that we have and festival activities. So we'd love to invite you all to come. And the cost is very low for what it is. So jump on our website. You can get your tickets on Humanitix on My Self-Reliance, and I'll put a link in there as we get started. But without further ado, I wanted to introduce Serene. I'm going to watch your last name just because I'm under pressure. How do I say it properly?
It's Teffaha.
Teffaha, that's right. And Serene is, as I said, has been a community advocate. I'm going to cheat and read to you. Serene Teffaha is a human rights lawyer who has been campaigning for reformation of the system in the way sexual abuse cases and domestic violence are handled by the courts. She found herself attacked by the establishment and has turned her focus away from political and legal activism to social reform through community activism, where the focus is building autonomy away from corporate control. Serene believes that can happen through community prepping together, securing our food, water, and shelter, getting off the corporate food and bank grids now is the priority. So, like minds, right? Here we are together doing these things that you're doing it in your corner of Australia, and here am I doing it over here. And so I cannot be more excited than to have you on tonight, Serene, and and really let's unpack all the good things that you've been doing. So
Thank you so much. You're so beautiful. I'm really, very, very glad to be connecting with you, Kelly, because people need to understand how difficult it is and how much effort and time it takes to create a community. When you're doing political activism or legal activism, it's your own little cocoon. Often it's an echo chamber that you're almost talking to yourself. But with the community, it's not just that you're looking at people as an audience, you really are wanting to connect. And that is a very different mindset, and it actually consumes your day and night to bring people together, to organize a structure that we're not really used to, because what does it mean to be in communities? I think we've all been raised, especially the 40 somethings or the 50 somethings, to be so disconnected from each other. And so trying to find a way back to each other and learning what it would mean for us to connect together is a very challenging aspect itself. So for you to maintain every week a forum like this, for you then to organize all these amazing do-it-yourself workshops, these canning vegetable workshops, meat canning, the camps that you're organizing, the festivals, just bringing people together, finding the spaces where you could host people. It's the phenomenal effort that goes behind that kind of work that often is missed on people. When you're following a politician, they're being paid, senators are being paid a whole lot of money to waffle on about things, and I'm not saying lawyers are. I mean, I'm an out lawyer now, but people call us struggling artists. I'm a struggling lawyer, if that's any, consolation to a lot of people. But even then, you're at this audience and you're pitching something to them. But what you're doing, what we're trying to do here in CoVision, which parallels what you've been doing, is really bringing people together, creating spaces where people can come and learn skills that are going to absolutely be vital for them in the future for their survival. I guess I don't like to engage in fear mongering, but the lines between fear mongering and reality are very, very close. Because when you do know what's coming and what has already come to pass, it's extremely worrying what is next on the agenda. And, a vaccine we were able to say no to, even though some of us lost our jobs and lost friendships and relationships as a result of that. But what is going to happen when there's no choice in what is going to be imposed, right? This vaccine, we had a choice in that. However much people don't think that we did have a choice, we did, because we're here and we're not vaccinated. Some of us are and have been hurt, and we welcome them as well. So CoVision is not about a discriminatory organization. We welcome everybody who wants to have a mindset of changing what is about to come. And what is about to unleash is extremely worrying when it comes to locking us into bank grids, mortgages, loans, debts that are going to be converted to a digital currency that is about monitoring us, surveilling us, following what we do and creating points of recognition if you're more compliant. And if you're less compliant, then you're not going to be able to have access to these currencies of exchange that they've set for us. And it's extremely disempowering when you realize that political and legal channels are not going to change that paradigm. What is only going to change that paradigm is our ability to really get to know each other very closely, and our ability to put aside our personal beliefs and start connecting from a point of view of values. Okay, because we all have different opinions about things. I've been raised with particular religious and political ideologies. Okay, I come from a Lebanese Palestinian background. and I'm going to have certain views that are going to conflict with others, but does it really matter when ultimately what we're both wanting from another perspective, another person may hold a completely different perspective to what I might believe about the world. But ultimately, if we both believe that the corporation is coming after us, does it really matter what our religion and our ideological differences are? And this is what I've been challenged with CoVision, because I'm a very opinionated human being. And obviously I've got opinions about religion, I've got opinions about politics, I've got opinions about sexuality, I've got opinions about everything, but does it really matter when what we're trying to achieve now is to gridlock the monsters that are trying to take us all down, irrespective of our personal opinions and beliefs. So this has been a huge journey for me over the past year to try and understand, or understand, because I hate the word understand. You're standing under their rule. That's what it means. They don't want you to ever understand, because the very word is to stand under them. So they never want you to accomplish any kind of comprehension. So I always say I want to understand what's happening. I want to stand within it, not under it, for me to appreciate and comprehend what's going on. And so over the past year, and as you can see from the beautiful people that are here, we reached out with a national vision. So I was too excited, and I'm like, I'm going to leave this whole place. We're going to establish a national vision. I'm going to do this CoVision, and I'm going to say to everyone, guys, we've got the solutions. We know what to do with the food. We know what to do with the water. We know what to do with the shelter. We've got land sharing solutions and all sorts of stuff. And I thought I'll get hundreds of thousands of people into CoVision. That's what I thought when I first began. Tracy laughs at me sometimes because I'll have these visions and these goals that are so monumentally huge, that sometimes I'm not aware of the realities that are around. And what I discovered is that people much prefer to get onto platforms that just allow them to complain. People just want to complain. In fact, the majority of people would much prefer to sign up to a channel and subscribe to newsletters that they never read, or they just surfing through channels which are all like media. Everybody wants to be a journalist now. All our freedom community, everyone's a journalist. Everyone's become a journalist. Everyone's got their media channel. Everyone's an independent journalist now. And apparently we've gone from, legal to political activism. Everything was about the senators and the politicians. Everyone's pinning their hats on what politicians are saying. Oh, look at the speech of this, senator. And I'm not disregarding the wonderful work of Senator Gerard and Senator Malcolm Roberts and all of them. They're beautiful. I'm not mocking or belittling their voices, but their voices are not heard. They're not going to create any change. It doesn't matter how much you scream, in the parliament. The very platform is deceptive. They allow you a platform to scream because you think you're being heard, but it's just about you screaming. That's all. It's not about actually creating reform or change. We can't do that unless we're going to cut out the corporation. We've got to cut out Coles and Woolworths. We've got to cut out even smaller retail shops. We've got to look at how our food genuinely comes from the farm to our plate. This whole paddock to plate is just a word that many people don't really understand. There aren't really many places that are genuinely providing you paddock to plate. Okay, so paddock to plate means, do I know where the abattoir is? Do I know how the animal is reared? Do I know how it's killed? And do I know what is injected in it, and what the farmer's ethics and values are? And am I participating in this process of getting this meat to my table? Okay, this is really paddock to plate. And what's happening now in terms of what I see imminently coming through is the restrictions that are going to come through the abattoirs. They're the chokehold. They're going to bring in restrictive quotas. They're going to sell a lot of these abattoirs to foreign ownership, which has already happened. They closed down 60% of abattoirs in the last 2 years. So they're doing a lot of preparations whilst they distract us with political paradigms. Okay. I think someone's way. I think Jenny fell out, my darling. Yeah, yeah, thank you. So how are we going to get people moving from that space where they're just surfing for news and media channels and, looking at this media post and that media post and looking at this video and that video and wasting all their time watching things that are actually not going to create any change whatsoever, and signing up for this class action. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I was doing that for, for the first 2 years of the pandemic. I was leading most of these class actions, and at the end, I'm thinking, this is ridiculous. When you go to the High Court and the judge says, I don't care about the Constitution, or I don't care about medical conscription, you think there's something wrong with this paradigm. I mean, what am I doing? I'm just beating my head against a brick wall. I mean, it's outrageous what these judges are penning to paper in the last 2 years. We've got judges who end their case by saying, so what that everyone was terminated from their jobs? So what, apparently? That's legal reasoning, and you're looking at that and you see you're not going to get traction in those channels anymore. The voice is a distraction. It's there to stoke the fire of racism between people. It's creating more division. It's creating narratives that are very, very painful and hurtful. On the no camp, you've got some serious racism coming out from the right-wing liberals. I mean, where were the liberals when everyone was being vaccinated up the wazoo? You know what I mean? It is extremely it's extremely hypocritical for us now to pay allegiance to parties that were never really there or switched on. They're playing the game. Labor's yes, Liberal is no, and they're distracting the whole population whilst they bring in all sorts of agendas. Those agendas are the food supply restrictions. They're going to restrict farmers. They're going to bring in a very staged event where they're going to say that the animals now have lumpy skin disease and foot and mouth disease. They're going to create outbreaks, fake outbreaks, so that they can absolutely cut the food supply chains, and they will do it so quickly. They will do it, like they did with the vaccines. They'll do it overnight. They'll lock everyone down. They'll lock the food supply chains. Instead of toilet paper not being available, it's going to, now petrol prices at $2.20. It's outrageous. I mean, these are the things that are really going to matter. Then the food they're going to just jump the prices. Already with eggs, Woolworths, even though there's a lot of supply chains with eggs, Woolworths and Coles are already cutting what eggs are on their shelf by half. They're doing this because they're part of the occult. They don't care anymore about their profit margins. You've got entire companies that have been completely usurped by the occultists. Okay, they're there, the globalists, the occultists, whatever you want to call them. I'm trying not to call them Zionists, but they are the occultists, okay, because that's what they are, because they can come from any culture and background when they're groomed in this occulticism of sacrifice. So we're going to see meat prices go up. We're going to see petrol prices, already they're going to go up, and they're going to go up in ways we can never imagine. Okay, and no one is really going, shit, why are we looking at the voice, the no camp with the liberals? They're going, oh, we don't want to give the Indigenous any more of a voice. They already have the voice. Look at all their corruption, and they're making videos about how backward Indigenous are. And then you've got the yes camp, that they're all militarizing and radicalizing groups of certain groups of Indigenous at the cost of others, knowing that this is going to be used to introduce taxes and pay rent and all sorts of stuff, which most Indigenous don't agree with. Most of them believe that they're custodians and not landowners. And so that's why they're against that, because they don't want to ask for the rent. It's just this group of globalists that are taking that over. But we're being sucked into these narratives that are irrelevant, completely irrelevant, because what's only relevant is now we need to be running around wondering how we're going to secure our food, secure our water supplies, and get off the bank rates, because we need to now make sure that we get off all the loans and all the mortgages. We've got to start looking at proper land sharing solutions, and not just superficial land sharing solutions, because there's been a few of those in the community which I've been very critical of. Not just, oh, we're going to go buy a portion of land, but we're not going to live on it, and we're going to only get wholesale prices of the food. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about.
Do you want this hearing?
And get down to the mall and fight for her.
Yeah. So it's really about discussing really proper land sharing agreements, where if someone's got acreage and they've got a bit of a mortgage, can they bring another family onto their property, pay off that mortgage, have the title in the clear, and then you as 2 families or 3 families build on that property. This is proper land sharing arrangements. Okay, not having 100 people go on, and then be charlatans who then tell you put in and invest, and because there's a lot of charlatans in our community, unfortunately. There's plenty of them. Okay, and what I want to say is that sometimes it's the ones that bark the loudest that you only hear. And I didn't even realize you existed, Kelly, until you reached out to me, right? And it's great that you know me, but I love the fact that people reaching out to me like yourself, because I'd rather give you so much attention and platform than some of these larger media channels that are not really doing anything. Okay, they're just bombarding people with posts and Telegram things and stoking the fire of racism. There's homophobia everywhere in this freedom community. We've got a lot of people who are homosexuals who have spoken out against the vaccines, right? But all of a sudden now God and country and patriotism has come in to this whole thing. And now mass immigration is apparently a terrible thing and the cause of everyone's problem. Okay, so if you're from a different culture, apparently that's the cause of this reduction of what's happening in our country, which is again outrageous. Okay, they're stoking the fire of division, because there's a lot of people from many different cultures that stood up against the vaccine. Okay, are taking look at the multicultural here tonight. Okay, we've got Asians, we've got Africans, we've got people from all across the world who are opening their eyes and are wanting to engage in different communities. But this is what they're driving through: homophobia, racism, patriotism. This idea that people died for your freedom. You know what I mean? This neglect to see the brutality of our nation, and the fact that even convicts and Irish people were bullied, right? Women who were Irish, okay, who came on the boats as convicts, they were prostitutes. They were forced into prostitution. That's the reality of what happened in this country, and so, yeah, sure, we've got intergenerational trauma. Pick your intergenerational trauma. Everyone's got intergenerational trauma in this country because it's a colonial country. It was based on colonialism, and that is always going to be brutal. You got people, talking about, the Constitution like it's some glorious document that guarantees your human rights. I mean, they've implied anything that's half decent out of that document, and you've got to squeeze it till there's nothing you could squeeze anymore to even remotely bring any kind of implied rights of dignity and human rights. It was written for the elitist British colonials. This is what it was written for. It was written for those who own land, and I can guarantee you it wasn't the Irish that were allowed to own the land. So it's almost like a paradigm that they're trying to stoke our division. They're continuously stoking our division, and we need to get past that. So what I wanted to do with CoVision is that I thought, well, I'm going to have hundreds and thousands of people. We're going to make a big plan. We're going to have emergency plans. We're going to go into land sharing agreements. We're going to all get into food supply. We're going to have distribution points. We're going to cut out all the corporations. And it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet because people are not engaged. People are not really aware, or they don't want to be aware. They talk every day about digital currency and food risks, but they're not actually taking the steps to it's a crisis. I mean, when I tell them it's a crisis, how are you going to actually, you're going to wait for the flood to come in before you take the steps to mitigate how you're going to get out of it when the water is coming in and when the fires are burning your space, or, you know, when you're being completely controlled? You know, when is the time for us to actually cut out these corporates and create our own autonomy? I'd like to show some of the projects that we're doing. As I said, it is extremely difficult. So I know exactly how it's like, Kelly, for you to even organize that camp. You're a champion amongst champions, because that is a huge achievement. For you to bring in people have to understand the reason why you're putting a cost is because you had to go and hire that land as well. You know, you're probably paying for it more than what you're ultimately going to get. You're not going to even reimburse your costs. You're putting all that money, time, passion into it because of your love for people. Right? And this is the thing, you know, I find it frustrating because, you know, it's reaching out and saying, come on, everyone, it's here for you. Participate. That's all you need to do. Participate. Right. And this is what we've got so far. I mean, I love all the Sydney people. If there's Sydney people on this, and you're going to be taping it, I had hundreds of people honestly email me saying they want to watch this, but they can't tonight. So it's great that you'll record it, because there's lots of people who've joined us in New South Wales. And after a year, I realized, talking to Tracy and my team, and they're all very rational human beings, Fiona Marlowe as well, and Deborah's here, and all these beautiful faces. They've told me you're aiming too big. Like, it's just too much. You know, it's too big. You know, you want to be you know, creating change on a national level, but you've got to sort of pull it back in and try to create it on your local level first. To see as much as you can and bringing people together. So you want to do the food co-op, do it first of all in Victoria. Even in my region, Western region, Geelong first, and then make it grow. You know, you want to have apothecaries with herbal medicines growing so that we can have our own medicine lines. You do it here locally first. You want to train everybody with first aid. You know, we all need to be teaching ourselves now how to actually deal with serious health issues that we could be facing without having to go to the hospital, because the hospital and the medical systems are crumbling extremely fast. And we all need to have a much developed awareness of how to deal with broken arms, broken limbs, you know, any kind of reactions we get. We need to build our own health hubs and our own health reactions. It's so important. Like, that is actually a priority. But just, yeah, it's people are extremely disengaged, but we're doing it. And I'm putting these funds, my personal funds, whatever I get, I put into CoVision. Because I'm extremely passionate about the fact that I don't want to be a slave. So I'm passionate about releasing myself from slavery, but I can't do it alone, right? This is the catch-22. You know, I could go be a hardcore prepper. You know what I mean? I could get my gun and I could take care of my land. but you know, but that's also not community, you know. And by the way, I've met some hardcore preppers, right? And they are like closed, you know, because community is open. You know, we want to be prepping together. That's community. But if you want to be prepping on your own, now they're hardcore, right? They'll have their own food and they'll get their guns and they go and deer hunting and they got their venison in the freezer. Yeah, and it's all real full on. It's excellent. I really admire people like that, right? I do. We have hardcore preppers that have joined CoVision, and I'm extremely excited to talk to them because they have like that whole self-defense. You know, no one's going to come into my territory. I'll put a bullet in their heads. You know, that's the mentality of hardcore preppers, and I really admire them. But I don't want just to be a hardcore prepper. I want to change communities. You know, I want to be able to bail out everybody. Everybody deserves the chance to be bailed out. You know, we all need to come together to take down the corporations. We can't do that by being hardcore preppers by ourselves. You know what I mean? And you know, I mean, the food storage tanks and, you know, the canning and all that is so important. It's so important because, and that's what I love about what you're doing. You're teaching people what most preppers don't openly teach, right? You're making it available to everyone to sort of become self-reliant, but our self-reliance is also dependent on our collective reliance. You know, we are a community, we're a collective. It can become easier if we come and do it together. You know, this is what I'm hoping to achieve. And what you're doing, I will be, you know, referring everyone in Sydney to go to your camps, to participate in all your workshops, to bring all their knowledge and share it. You know, I think it's amazing because what you're actually doing is practical. I haven't really seen as much of that in Sydney as what I have seen now with you. It's actually been a real spot where there's not much, because I think it's more of a city. New South Wales is more divided. It's not as open to each other as Victoria is. Victoria's way of geography, it's easier to connect across spaces, right? I can be in the east in 1 hour from the west. You know, it's easy to get together and share food. It's harder in New South Wales because of the way that the geography is. So it's extremely exciting that you're actually practically implementing things, you know, like the getting off grid, do it yourself mechanics, the canning, the preservation, the dealing with getting off the bank rate. It's amazing. Practical advice and great skilled individuals that can share that. What I'd like to share as well is I'll share a screen now just to show the projects that we're doing as well, so that people have got a real understanding of the traction we've got. And even though we've had a lot of people join, so one of the things that Tracy could tell you, a lot of people get excited and they join, and then we send them this questionnaire about what can they contribute, what can they do. It's a very extensive process. We'll put a lot of thought into learning, implementing a process that's going to actually bring a lot of people out of their shells. And then they get really worried. They're like, oh, this is actually, you got to be involved. and so they're like, we don't want to do the appraisal. Okay, we're not ready to do the appraisal. We'll just sit and watch you and see what you do. And then when you do it all, then we'll join. And it's like, but that's not the point. The point is you're going to do this together. We're going to do this now. So despite the fact that we've had these huge blocks, and it has been a really daunting process, because I've many times felt I'm just going to shut down and become a hardcore prepper for myself and not worry about food distribution and abattoirs and medicinal plants. I'm just going to learn this for me, and that's it. I keep picking myself up and go, no, the glass is half full and not half empty, you know, and there are still so many beautiful people who are engaging, you know, and I'll show you now the beautiful people that are engaging. It has made it actually a success. It's just that my ambitions are so big. I often compare them to where I'd like to be versus what it is, you know, and sometimes you have to learn humility, and you have to learn that people cannot see what you see right away. You know, you've got to just be patient and not be pushy, you know, because as a lawyer, you know, being pushy is my, you know, is my go-to. Persuasion and, you know, and being really blunt and mean sometimes, you know, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work in this forum. So I'm going to show actually what we've done so that people can you know, can really get a bit of an idea of the work that has been done in this space. I'm just going to pull the page up. And I know I had it here, and it'll come back. Give me one moment, please. I'm just opening it up.
While you're finding that, I was excited. We had a guest speaker on a few weeks ago from the Northern Beaches, and they have got a beautiful working community over there, people engaged and doing workshops and learning and medicinal herbs and all kinds of things. And I did a presentation over there just a couple of weeks ago about taking that community the next step, the next layer up, and having people be really engaged. And so, so like you say, until you kind of, they reach out and you kind of connect, you don't know what's happening out there, but it's so good, what can come from this conversation. So yeah, now you've got your page up. Thank you. That's lovely.
Definitely. So, so we've got our page up, and the CoVision appraisal is the process that we get people through the door, because we want to get to know you. We want to get to know what people can contribute and have that conversation, which Tracy has. And so we've got pilot projects that we've put together, and we're very proud of them, because whilst I can be very harsh critic of myself and others, actually we've accomplished quite a lot in this 1 year, and it has been really beautiful to actually pen it to paper what we've got on offer. And one of the first things is we've got our food co-op pilot, and we have so many farmers that have joined CoVision. We've got now 10 farmers that have joined CoVision, and actually one of them is here tonight, Nadia.
Hi, here I am.
Glenn and Nadia. Thanks, Nadia, for tuning in. So what the goal is, like, Nadia has this beautiful farm, and she's extremely passionate about good food. She's growing rabbits, she's got lamb. She is going to hopefully teach us how to skin the rabbits and prepare them. She's going to make them available through our food co-op. So I'm really excited about that. We had a first round of lamb delivery, which we're very excited about, and her lamb is delicious. I did have some through Josh, so that's been great, Nadia. So thank you. And we are really wanting farmers to, and not just, farmers that are on the books, farmers that are not on the books, right? This is an unincorporated association. We're coming together as family and friends, and we're going to try as much as we can to get off the bank and the food grids, the corporate food grids. So we want to now create complete and utter access of food straight from the farmers to us. And so that's sort of what Nadia can most certainly offer to the group. And not just that, she can show us how to use rabbit skin as well, and how we could create how we can create clothes and other things for ourselves as well. So that's all coming on the table. So that's been really exciting. So we've put down all of what we've got on offer in terms of our, farmers that do not vaccinate their animals, right? So with Nadia, it's very unusual for farmers, even if it's organic food. Most of your animals are vaccinated with 8-in-1 vaccines. So lamb and beef are usually, even if they're organic, they usually all are heavily vaccinated. Okay, so they might say hormone and antibiotic free, but they are heavily vaccinated. So this is a very important part. So we're really getting down to the elements of the details. Okay, and so I'm really in admiration of farmers who are so passionate about providing quality food because it's a rarity, whether we like it or not. It is not a common incident in this nation or any other nation, although I might say that in Australia we still have those options because we have the passion of farmers. This country has been built on the back of farming, and whether we agree or don't agree, that it should have or shouldn't, it has. It's a fact, and so I respect that, and I am very upset at the fact that our farming has been belittled by fertilizer use, by pesticide use, by overt vaccination practices, by feedlot practices. So I'm very, like, I'm a nutritionist as well, so I'm a real stickler for really healthy food. And so it's not just about securing food, it's about securing the right food. Okay, it's about securing the right processes. It's about honoring people who have the right practices. So it's pasture raising too. So if you look at the list that we have, it's pasture grazed, unvaccinated, chemical-free lamb. We've got Daniel, he's providing that. We've got Nadia, who we mentioned here as well, with her rabbits and her upcoming rabbits and her lamb. People can text me so that they get on a list. We've got our local farmer who joined, one of our first farmers, biodynamic farmers, Darren and Josh, and they've joined us and they've been training us on how to grow food and grow our own herbal plants and plant medicines using biodynamic practices, which has blown my mind. You know, we don't need fertilizers, we don't need pesticides. We need to understand the beautiful relationship between soil, between the sky, between cow manure and using cow manure in a fermented way. They call it the 500 prep. You know, they ferment cow manure in the horns of animals. It's spectacular, and they use quartz to spray on the plants. Quartz, just stone, grounded stone, because it reflects light. You see, it's just astounding stuff. Okay, and it's all free. It's all, it doesn't cost you anything to engage in regenerative biodynamic practices. So we've got vegetable and fruit boxes that are available in Geelong and the outer and all the outer suburbs around Geelong. We've got now another farmer who's contacted me. I'm getting calls every day from farmers across the country. We've got, as I said, Nadia's lamb and rabbits. We've got beef, you know. We've got Paola's beef. You know, she also supplies us our eggs. It's all pasture raised. She's had open days at her farm where people can go and visit and see the huge effort in pasture raised chickens. It is so much work, okay, to move chickens from one paddock to another. She's got about 10-20 acres, and she's you know, biodynamically prepped the land. These little chickens are like princesses. And they're pasture raised. She moves them. She ferments the food, and it's not even soy. She doesn't even give them soy. You know, it's phenomenal stuff, you know. And people, once they eat these eggs, they can't go to any other eggs because it's actually real food. So it's actually you know, supporting farmers who are not just on our page, you know, where, you know, they're rabid anti-vaxxers. All of them are. So, you know, but to realize that they're so few, and they're actually so careful about all the practices on their field. So we've got Carly, we've got Paula. Paula's got her own deboning room. She hangs the meat for 21 days, 3 weeks, with beta carotenes and CLAs and vitamin E's in the body of the animal. She's taking pictures of them. She's growing them for us. It is beautiful. I mean, and I must say, looking at what we've done, I am proud of that. I just want more. That's all. This is my perfectionism. I want more. But it is astounding. And now we've located an amazing farmer, a chicken farmer, a geese farmer, a pheasant farmer who has her own abattoir on site. She's one of the only ones in the entire Australia that has her own approved chicken abattoir, because most chickens are actually taken to horrific abattoirs with they're all machine killed. Okay, and it is a disgrace how these animals are treated in these abattoirs. So she's got her on-site abattoir. We're going to be doing a huge questionnaire very soon across all of Australia, because one of the big things that we now want to do is not just support these farmers, but see how we can actually collectively, in our purchasing power, build our own mobile abattoir. All right, so we could cut completely the corporation out of this process. We completely cut it, okay, right from the beginning, right at its heels. We have our own mobile abattoirs, and that will mean that we've got it all sorted. So that's next on the list, you know, and I'm inviting everybody, you know, to order. It's not just people who are in CoVision, although I give them the priority with orders, but it's open to everyone, and that's how I'm inviting people to join CoVision, is through this really solid work that we've done on the food co-ops. The other major element of the project we're doing is also we're looking at food storage. We've looked at uniting with another designer. He's really motivated. They're called Formcast, and they're very motivated about root cellars. Because if you know anything about root cellars, which I've learned a few things about all of this process, is that you've got to have the right ventilation. You've got to ensure that mold and water doesn't leak through. And that's one of the biggest problems with food storage and food storage root cellars. So he's created a really foolproof design. And now it's really, and I've been working with him over the last 3-4 months to get that design right. And now we're ready. We're ready to find homes and places where I'm hoping that one particular suburb can have a root cellar and it can be shared with 10 families. So that's the project. It's very ambitious, but it's there. The homework has been done. It's just now about people putting their hands up and saying, yes, you can use my land to host the food storage. The other major project we're working on is our health hubs. And we've managed to now have our own medicinal offerings. So we've got many health practitioners and amazing designers of products and medicines, where we've got now 10 to 15 of our own medicines. So people can call our head health hub nurse, Magda, and she leads the hub. Does referrals. We do case study circles every month where we look at health issues and how to combat them. She's designing health kits. We're now talking about getting wholesale prices on very well developed health kits, almost like a mini hospital where you could buy all the kits for that, and there'll be different entry points. So for each suburb, we're hoping to have a nurse that can be on call for that suburb. If someone gets sick, then we can dispatch people to them. So it's pretty magnificent. And so Magda will be ready to run her first aid and health training, and it is very comprehensive. So it's everything from dealing with broken bones to concussion to cuts to wound healing, to dealing with heart attacks, defibs, all of that. So it's going to be a very comprehensive program, and that will be open to everyone, not just people who are in CoVision. Obviously, it's a way of attracting people to come to us. One of the other major aspects that we're also doing is that we've got 2 properties now that have been donated, whereby we put young gardeners and young herbal professionals on the property, where they are now growing our own medicinal range. Okay, so they're growing our own herbs and plants. It's been really fantastic. It's 2 families that have one in Geelong and one in Yarra Valley, and we've renovated a caravan that has been donated to us. We're asking people to donate to us caravans so that we could renovate them and house young people in them so that they can be placed on other people's properties, get a home over their heads, and then in return, they grow the plant medicines for us. So this is about creating currency out of money, which means we don't want to be dealing with money. We're creating currency based on exchange that is very different to monetary exchange. So someone might be well off, they have a large property. Allow us to house someone on that property in a caravan. We set them up, and then they could work your land so that that could provide food for everybody. This is the vision. This is how we're going to create breakthroughs. So I'm really excited about our herbal apothecaries. It's taken a lot of my time, but it is moving, and it's created such a beautiful momentum. And lastly is survival pilot program, which is a lot what Kelly's doing, which is my self-reliance section, really. It's about learning our own survival. Okay, so learning our own skills, so with the apothecaries, we've learned how to renovate caravans. We're learning how to build a tiny home. We've got now a project for hunting, so we're going to all go out and learn to get our shooter's license and our gaming license. So my first cousin is a hunter, is a trophy hunter, and he's also now part of CoVision, and he's going to take us hunting deer, venison. Actually, it's there's so much deer to be eaten. Not joking, is so much. There's millions of deers in Victoria, and so this is a way for us to have food, our own food autonomy. So we're going to be learning that about microgreen production, mushrooms, growing our own mushrooms, our own what are the best wiki beds, what are worm farming at home, bush foraging, yeast making, everything, dairy products. So I think, though, I must say, Kelly, you've developed this part really beautifully in what you've done, and this is, I've focused a lot on some of the other projects, the food and the health hubs, that this part has fallen through the cracks, but this is where we could really tap into what you're doing, and get some of your beautiful resources and speakers, and potentially even invite them to come here in Victoria to do a camp as well. So that would be absolutely lovely. So this is sort of what we've achieved, and I am happy. Don't like, sometimes I come across like I'm not happy. I am very happy. I've learned a lot, and frustration can also create happiness as well, because you learn what you can do, what you can't do, what people want, what people don't want, and to learn to be a little bit humble, to talk to people a little bit better than I can't talk to them like I'm a lawyer. So that doesn't work, so I have to talk to people about where they're at, and how to bring the best out of them. And we generally don't get much criticism, so I'm happy about that. That's always a good thing. We always get supported, and we always get celebrated and encouraged, and people are always speaking highly of us. And I'm very clear even about our own interactions. We ensure that we don't bully each other, that people are open with each other, that we ensure we set boundaries of interaction, because we don't want our group to fall like a lot of other groups, So I'm proud, Kelly, that you've held on to what you've done for 3 years. That is a phenomenal achievement, and a great reflection of your ability to lead and organize. So, what a privilege to link with you, and I'm very, very excited to share what we're doing, what I've learned, my frustrations, but also my excitement and happiness as well. So thank you.
Oh, it's absolutely incredible just to hear and see everything that you've achieved. Yes, you should be very, very happy. And I just nodding all the time, like, yes, I agree. Yes, yeah, 100%. And as you said, engagement is the number one key. But looking at your programs, I'm thinking, why wouldn't people want to engage? Because it is all done for them. It's so like, just go along for the ride, and there it is. And so it's just gorgeous what you've created, and I'm sure that we can really cross over and overlap, like having the best of both worlds, and really, I just love that seller idea.
Yeah.
I can't wait to dive into that myself. Beautiful. Well, I wonder if there's any questions of anybody in the gallery. We can take some questions. Byron Shire would love this. Absolutely. And I have to also introduce you to this. We've got a beautiful WA contingent of My Self-Reliance, of experts over there. Yeah, so we can really span across all of Australia now. And can't wait to really keep supporting you on that. I know Zoe put in there about women having the safe hubs for their babies to be born, having that health hub, having people being able to have their own doctor's kits and learn about those things. And I don't know if you've heard of PHA. They're the Health Association. I'm sure they want to tap in and be part of that as well. And certainly I can share with you the farmers that we have in this area that are on the same page, and start to build that database there as well. So
that's right. Actually, we've got Kelly, we've also got Fiona online. Fiona, are you there? Yes.
Fiona, yes, we have met.
She's a nurse, but she's also a birthing nurse, and she's on our team, and she's very, very keen and passionate about bringing about safe spaces for women to have birthing experiences. So
you know that I've actually interviewed Fiona before on this channel. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Fia,
Hi, Kelly. How are you?
Good to see you, my lovely. How great. It always goes full circle, isn't it? We just kind of keep spreading it out, and we're just going to keep collecting in all the people that we've learned from and touched. And yeah, so great what you're creating down there and the connections. Michelle, do you have a question? You've got your hand up there. Go for it.
This every day. Like every day I live and breathe CoVision. Every day I'm talking to farmers. Every day I'm calling up people on our list and saying, hey, can you do this? Can you do a presentation like that? Would you be willing to host a young couple who want to live on your property? Would you be able to give an acreage on your property so that we can grow herbal plants? Are you willing to come and give your knowledge and experience for free without any expectation of remuneration? That's a very big element that we need to get over, because a lot of people are not used to being charitable quite often. Okay, so like Kelly, I'm sure you are doing this all off your own bat, and the hours and hours you spend on this per week is probably, I mean, it's all from passion. And I think in remote communities or in certain places like South Australia or in certain groups, you know, and it's no criticism to the group, please, you know, no, I'm not criticizing the groups here, you know, because I understand the challenges very intrinsically, that it's not just meeting up, you know, we don't just want to meet up and talk, you know, that's all great. We want to meet up and talk, but we actually want to move into you know, autonomous free spaces where we can actually be creating projects. I will say it has been phenomenally hard to renovate the caravan. I've had to every week spend hours calling up all the guys and saying, you've got to come and give your time, you know, to renovate, you know, and I've had a very great partner who has spent a lot of hours doing that. And then with the apothecary, you know, I was calling up a lot of couples saying, you've got no mortgage on your property, you've got 5-6 acres. I think it will be great if you can provide a space for people to come and work on it, you know, and they'll say, we want to think about it, we want to talk, and then you go, okay, and then you come back again next week, have you thought about it? I'd really love you if you could do this, you know. And there is so much labor in communication and networking, that you have to find someone, and whether that's yourself, Michelle, that is and I'm very happy to sit with you and actually talk to you about what is required. But you know what I find is that it is overwhelming, okay, because you've got to have a great sense of passion for building community, because bringing people together is a labor of love, and it's also a labor of communication. It's about saying, you know, spending a lot of time talking to farmers, talking to what they can offer, creating the communication, not just having a health hub, but actually saying how we're all going to train ourselves to really help each other in an emergency. Are people, like, I've had a lot of fights with health professionals and arguments because they want to be paid an awful lot of money. So people might join CoVision and say, my rate is $200 an hour. And I say, well, this is the wrong organization for you, darling. You know, I don't think I've ever been paid $200 in my life per hour, you know, and I'm a lawyer, right? And so, and I don't mean it in disrespect, right? You know, I measure it from what I give. Philanthropy and kindness is measured from my potential. So if I know that I'm a giver, I'm going to expect people to give, you know, and if they can't, well, then this is not the right platform for them. Okay, because I know everyone's like, oh, get what you're worth, you know, get what you're worth, you know, and it's like, really, I'm worth like $1 million an hour. Do I get my worth? You know, it's just an outrage, okay, because that's not really community. So how do you pull people from that space of that entitlement, selfishness? If they feel they gave you a couple of hours, it's like, wow, they've given so much. you know, and when your whole life is about caring and giving and sacrifice for the greater good, you know, you've got to kind of be a bit pushy with people, you know. And this is where I've learned not to apologize for what I'm doing. You know, I'm not going to apologize for putting people in a pickle. You know, oh no, you can't charge that much. That's outrageous costs. You know, you're being completely selfish. You know, and so yeah, like I'm not afraid to say that. Or I'm calling up people. Are you a farmer? I'm going to actually directly ask you, are you vaccinating your animals? I'm not going to be shy in not asking that question. You know, you're a health professional. What can you offer? Do you guys want to come in together every month and have a proper case study where we're sharing our information and health treatments for free? Okay, we're actually sharing it for free. Okay, we're exchanging our skills and our ability for no monetary exchange. The model I'm hoping that we can achieve in CoVision is much more grassroots, like what you're doing, Kelly, which is and what Michelle is doing in SA, which is really go back to existing farmers, go back to our own skill sets, and you don't have to invest a lot of money to create autonomy, right? You know, and we want to be able to actually invest as well in land sharing ideas where we can get each other off the bank grid. So some ideas are great, you know, and I don't mind them, but in Queensland, what we're hoping to do, and I'll let everyone know who's on here, that they'll give their email address. I've already got many of your email addresses in CoVision, but if you're not part of CoVision, we're going to be doing a massive project now with the Australia project, the TAP groups, the TAP satellite groups, and I'm not sure if some of you have heard of them, but they're quite they get a bit more traction in New South Wales and Queensland, and I don't mean it in any negative sense. You know, there's a lot of quite a lot of passionate people who are very much about, you know, Australian symbolism and patriotism and all that, and I don't mind that. Right, you know, it might not resonate with my psychology, but I'm very open to working with people who want to understand how to build food co-ops and how to build our own networks. So we're going to be launching a massive questionnaire all across Australia, and I'll put it out to all of you about getting intel and information about people who are very serious about being involved in food co-ops, people who are very serious about being involved in our own mobile abattoirs, and farmers that are very serious in being involved in these projects. So whilst we've done a part of that here in Victoria, my ambition with uniting with the Australia project on the food co-op and abattoir project is to get as many people on board, okay? Because the more people we have ordering the food of the farmers who are in our group, the more autonomy we will secure. And the more, because it's going to be a numbers game with that one. It's a numbers game. So sure, I have CoVision and I've got my particular rules and the way that we do it, but I don't have an expectation that everyone in Queensland and New South Wales will join CoVision. I'd rather look at what groups are there already, like yourself, Kelly's group, and my Self-Reliance, and put out surveys, because I think surveys are fantastic. We did a major survey on the mRNA vaccines recently. One of our farmers, Carly, she is part of the Victorian Federation of Farmers, the Meat Livestock Association, which is the MLA regulators of the meat industry. They are funding mRNA vaccines because they have signaled now that the lumpy skin disease and foot and mouth disease, they need to now produce mRNA vaccine for our livestock, which means, in other words, they're going to do a staged event of outbreaks where they're going to force mRNA vaccines on all the livestock. So we have to move really fast on this one. And so the food co-op, there will be a questionnaire. I will be sending it out. I want everyone here to fill it in so that we can have a massive amount of intel to let us know where existing abattoirs are. I've already spoken to 3 New South Wales farmers that have on-site abattoirs that haven't been used. So they're very willing to provide them. We've got some Queensland farmers who have contacted me, and actually we've got a few WA farmers who've also contacted me to say, look, they're ready to get behind this. They're very ready to be part of a collective group. We're also talking to the Australian Beef Initiative. It's another group that has mimicked what's happened in the US. In the US, they've had a similar issues with all of their abattoirs being sold off to foreign ownership. And as a result, they've introduced restrictive quotas. So this guy called Texas Slim, great name, he set up the Australian Beef Initiative, and now he does paddock to plate, where he has a whole bunch of mobile abattoirs operating across the US. So we want to do the exact same thing here before it actually explodes, because this is on the card. So I'll send you that survey so that we can get all the intel we can and get people putting up their hands, just their hands, to say, yes, we will buy from the food co-op. And that way we'll have it stretch all the way from coast to coast, and hopefully across NT, SA, and WA as well. So, you know, we've got some amazing farmers, but we just need everybody communicating together. So it's a massive project, but so in terms of the abattoir, the biggest roadblock is going to be about us trying to approve these abattoirs through PrimeSafe. I don't think PrimeSafe as a body is as corrupt as, let's say, the regulator MLA, the Meat Livestock Association. Lucky that the abattoir regulations is in the hands of PrimeSafe, because they tend to be a lot more flexible than some of the other regulators, would you believe? And they're actually populated by guys who work in abattoirs already, and who have a lot of family-owned abattoirs and local abattoirs. So the directors in PrimeSafe are generally quite flexible. The issues that we're going to have is not so much with the approval of the abattoirs, it's going to be when they are going to impose restrictions on abattoirs. This is where we're going to have legal issues. And this is where we're going to have to be confronted with revolting against what government is going to do. Because if these abattoirs that are going to be either community owned or local abattoirs that are still around, like Castle Estate in Victoria, Geelong, Radfords in Warragul, there's a number of beautiful abattoirs that are still locally owned, not fully foreign owned. So when they become foreign owned, they become quite corrupt, because they're only interested in the export of meats. Okay, but if they're locally owned, they're going to be very angry at getting restricted quotas, and they're going to target them first. Okay, they're going to target the approved smaller family owned abattoirs. And this is where I believe we're going to have to go on the black market. we're going to have to go off grid with our operations, and these mobile abattoirs will have to be operating off the grid. Okay, so I will say that very, you know, when the time comes, we're going to have to be prepared to go off grid and not comply with government. So that's you know, that's going to be extremely rebellious. But unfortunately, that's the only option we're going to have, because they are closing in every direction. Otherwise, you are really signing up to your slavery. It's revolution or slavery, you know, in my opinion. So, you know, people go, oh, what if you're going to get caught? What if they're going to have drones? What if this? What if that? Oh, all right. Well, then if they do, well, then let them come at me. We all have to stand up. And if there's more of us standing up, and you know, I just can't see in Australian culture that they're going to have great success in stopping a lot of the men eating meat in this country. But you know, but I've seen men roll up their sleeves and be vaccinated up the wazoo and have heart conditions, and I didn't think that Australians are going to be that much of a pushover. So maybe they will, maybe they'll eat insects, I don't know. But I know that I want to plan for this, and I want to set up and unite with any good local abattoirs, so that when the time comes, we're prepared with our own networks. Okay, this is, you know, this is very, very important. And I do believe in revolution. I believe a revolution is very necessary. We're going to have to fight for our freedom. There's no, in my opinion, that's not negotiable. We're going to have to fight for our freedom. You know, there's going to be a point where we'll all have to lock and load, and whether we like it or not, we have to fight. So, you know, I just think I'd rather be planned with the fight rather than just, not know what to do. You could sign up to my food co-op in Victoria and you'll get wholesale prices from all the farmers. And one thing you can't buy the passion. Passion doesn't have a price. Okay. So you can't buy the passion of people. Okay. If farmers are passionate people, and if a farmer is unvaccinating their animals and raising them, there's a lot of blood and sweat that goes into that process. And as a result, you can't just pay someone to have the passion to run a farm of that proportion, where you want them to have chickens, lamb, beef, vegetables and fruits, milk. It's unrealistic. It's unrealistic. In terms of our own structures, I don't agree with PMAs in Australia, and I'll explain why. Private member associations is an American concept, okay, not an Australian concept. There are a lot of charlatans in the community that are saying, I'm going to put a PMA for you, and they're charging $4,000 to $7,000 to put a PMA allegedly that says that you don't actually have to pay tax anymore under Australian law. That's actually a load of rubbish, okay? They're called charlatans, okay, because there is no such thing, one, as a private member association in Australia. It's a UK and American concept, okay, that doesn't get transposed here in Australia. In Australia, there is something called the unincorporated association, where people can mutually come together and set up a group, as we've done with CoVision, and the law allows for any dealings between the group members to be tax-free on the basis of mutuality principle. But that's only if you are coming together within the group and building within the group your own membership within the group. Now, that's what's allowed under Australian law. It's for free. You don't need a document to actually show you that. All you need is to register for an ABN, for an unincorporated association, and to say that the mutuality principle applies to you. Any document that is drafted by these charlatans, and forgive my very strong language here, but I do call them charlatans, because when they're charging $7,000 for a document that says that you're sovereign, which I also have a very strong opinion on, no one is sovereign. I'm not sovereign. You're not sovereign. The Indigenous people are not sovereign. White people are not sovereign. The Queen is not sovereign. The only entity maybe is sovereign is God, but I doubt even God said that he was sovereign too. Okay. All right. Because sovereign means supreme authority. No one has supreme authority over anything. Okay. The concept I believe in is custodianship. I've been given this body. I am a caretaker of this body. I've been given a child. I'm a caretaker of the child. I've been given land. I'm a caretaker of this land. There isn't a direct ownership is a white man's concept. And please don't get angry with me. I mean, I'm whiter than white, you know what I mean? But it's it is fundamentally a concept about exploitation. When we say I own something, that means I exploit it. When I say that I'm custodian of something, I'm responsible for it. That's the language or the relationship. So you've got these PMAs that say you're all sovereign. I'm sovereign. I'm the crown. Apparently, you're the crown as well. That's what they say. And no one is the crown. I don't even believe the crown is the crown, let alone me saying that I'm the crown. Or mimicking language of our oppressors, or mimicking language of the Roman Admiralty laws. So the Roman Admiralty laws are all about claiming supremacy and superiority. And hence we use language like ownership, sovereignty, crown, our own, we're claiming our own sovereignty or ceding our own sovereignty. These terms are, in my opinion, awful terms, okay, that don't represent anything about communities. I have set up an unincorporated association for CoVision. It is completely lawful. Any dealings I have with people come under the legal concept of mutuality principle. This is a lawful Australian concept under the common law, and it's protected under the Australian law, and I'm able to deal with all of my members on the basis of mutuality principle, where I'm not taxed for my dealings with the group. Now, if we end up doing an enterprise that creates profit to you, I don't have to transact with you, I don't have to contract with you, again, they find themselves in trouble because their kids get taken. So I am extremely irate at people in the community who have acted like charlatans in telling people that somehow a PMA drafted in terms of sovereignty and your own contractual ability and the fact that you don't have to pay taxes somehow exonerates you from all of your duties under the Australian law. That I don't agree with. You know, I'm very strong about my opinions on that because I'm always bailing someone out in the community for that sort of advice. Okay. And there are people in the community, unfortunately, who are charging ridiculous amounts. There's others who have completely destroyed people's lives, like Spiros. He's destroyed people's lives. Okay. And I'll call him out any day. And there are many people of his ilk who are, creating and perpetuating things that really are not safe for, the common person.
Wow, I'm glad we got that clear.
I am excited about what we're creating, and I do admire that there is a movement across the board, all of Australia. We're all wanting to create something clean and transparent and positive for everyone. Sometimes the intention doesn't match the action, but sometimes it does. And this is what's so beautiful about, connecting with people like you, Kelly, and having the beautiful people ask their questions today, the two Michelles and Jackie, so I'm really appreciative of the conversation. I'll also put the website www.covision.com.au and also the website for Self-Reliance. She's got a camp between 21st and 22nd. So please, I urge everybody who can make it to the camp to go to the camp. It is so exciting.
I do hope everyone comes because there's been so much love go into this festival, and all the people that are coming to present are giving their time from love and from passion for what they do. And so, I just want to honor them for showing up in the world and giving us a piece of their skills and knowledge and the sharing. And one of the things that we're going to create there is intentional networking, so that we can really start to learn the skills, and then learn what's next, create, and hand the reins over to people in those communities and go, here it gets started, what do we do next? That's up to you. So we're going to keep talking about this, and blessed to everyone who got on tonight and everyone who's watching the replay. Thank you so much, and thank you, Serene. Big heart.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, everyone. It's been really, really good, and I'm glad that even I try not to have controversy, but controversy follows me. So thank you. You have a very, very lovely night, and I'm so excited. And please, if you are in Victoria and you haven't joined CoVision, join and be part of our food co-op and our apothecaries. So yeah, it would be really amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Good night, and we'll see you next Tuesday. We'll be back again at this same time with more good things to share. We've got actually the beautiful couple, Craig and Nina from Heart Centered Beings, on next Tuesday.
Great. And I'll be promoting all of your stuff going forward now, Kelly, as well. So
bless.
Very, very excited about that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a lovely one. Bye-bye, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Welcome to the My Self-Reliance Expo. It is a wet, rainy day in April, but we are having the best time.
We're just doing the chocolate wheel. Actually, no chocolate prizes, but spin the wheel for $1. Win prize up to $50. Fantastic. All benefits going to My Self-Reliance.
And three. We have taken the best of the speakers that we have on our Huinda Community Connections every Tuesday night, and we've brought them all together in this one place where people can experience all the good things that people have been sharing with us about. Ladies, and I have a little gift for you. the day, despite the rain.
Reporting for Team Kelly here. She does amazing work. Loving it.
This is just the beginning for my self-reliance and bringing community together, because we're all about learning, education, workshops, highlighting people's skills and talents so that we can all learn from each other and operate in a way that, you know, we maybe haven't seen before. And certainly people who didn't think that they had skills to share are really shining in this space. So we're going to go from the expo. July we'll have a summit, so that'll be 20 speakers over 10 days, and then come spring in October we're actually going to do a 2-day festival. So that will be another opportunity to bring people out to the sunshine and get amongst it and really envelop it all over 2 days. So we're so thrilled that you can be here and enjoy the fun. And if you missed it, we hope that you come again to the next one. We look forward to seeing you. Thanks so much.